While the First World War raged in Europe and the Middle East, Rabindranath Tagore set off on a global oceanic voyage from Calcutta on May 3, 1916, aboard the Japanese ship Tosama. Traveling on this easterly route for the first time in his life, Tagore encountered a mighty storm in the Bay of Bengal that left no dividing line between the clouds and the waves. Someone seemed to have opened the blue lid of the ocean, and countless demons had emerged from below, wrapped in grey coils of smoke, as in the Arabian Nights, and were shooting up to the sky. After 4 days at sea, the appearance of birds in the sky signaled that land was near. If the ocean was the domain of dance, its shores heralded a realm of music. As the ship moved up the Irrawaddy towards Rangoon, Tagore observed a row of kerosene oil factories with tall chimneys along its banks, as if Burma was lying on its back and smoking a cigar. From Burma, the Tosamaru traveled further east towards Penang, Singapore, and Hong Kong. The poet felt a sense of joy observing the strength and skill of Chinese laborers working at the port in Hong Kong, and made an uncannily accurate prophecy about the future balance of power in the world. The nations which now own the world's resources, Tagore argued, fear the rise of China, and wish to postpone the day of that rise. It was in the midst of another frightening storm in the South China Sea on 21st May 1916 that Tagore composed this song, asking the Almighty to spread his seed of universality in the individual's heart.
Oh
9, 1916, that Osamu reached Japan. Tagore's 3-month sojourn in Japan represented the fulfillment not just of a personal quest, but the search for an Asian universalism that had begun at the turn of the 20th century. Tagore was as impressed by Japanese visual arts as he was unimpressed by Japan's tendency to imitate the worst elements of European nationalistic imperialism. It was only after rebuking Japan on that count that Tagore undertook the long Pacific crossing to North America on September 7, 1916. He then traveled from the west coast to the east, speaking out against nationalism during the presidential election season of 1916. He did not want Indian patriots to imitate the monstrous features of European nationalism and the territorially bounded model of the nation state. Tagore's critique of nationalism, however, was perfectly compatible with a basic anti-colonial stance and his patriotic poetry. In 1924, Tagore traveled once more by sea to Burma, China, and Japan. The poet's entourage on his travels typically included a small but formidable team of intellectuals and artists. Mukul was the artist who had accompanied Tagore to Japan in 1916. It would be the linguist Srinivas Chattopadhyay and painter Surendranath Goswami on a voyage to Southeast Asia in 1927. Then the poet Omiya Chakrabarti and writer Kedar Chattopadhyay would go with Tagore to Iran and Iraq in 1932. Tagore had also traveled to Latin America in the winter of 1924-25 and wrote perhaps his greatest book of poetry, Urobi, on that occasion. On the 1924 journey to East Asia, Tagore's companions from Shantiniketan and Calcutta were Nandulal Bose, the painter, Kiti Mohan Sen, an erudite scholar of Sanskrit and comparative religion, grandfather of Professor Amartya Sen, and the young Kalidas Nag. On this trip, Tagore preached the virtues of close interaction among Asian cultures. Young Chinese actors of the Crescent Moon Society performed his play Chitra in English on Tagore's birthday, 8th May 1924, at the Peking Normal University. Here is an excerpt from the dance drama Chitrangada in the Bengali original. Based on the Mahabharata, its theme is Arjuna's love for a princess of Manipur.
I am Chitrangada, the daughter of the royal house of Manipur. Lord Shiva had promised to my grandfather an unbroken line of male descent. However, the divine word proved powerless when I was born. But my father brought me up as his son. He taught me the use of the bow and all the duties of a king. I was always dressed in man's attire. One day, in search of game, I went deep into the forest. Tying my horse to a tree trunk, I entered a dense thicket on the track of a deer. Lying on a bed of dried leaves across my path. I asked him to move aside, but he heeded not. Then, with the sharp end of my bow, I pricked him in contempt. Instantly he leapt up with straight, tall limbs, like the sudden tongue of fire from a heap of ashes. With fear and wonder, I asked him, "Who are you?" "I am Arjuna, the Pandava," he answered. I stood petrified like a statue. Then I saw him vanish through the trees. I couldn't think of anything else. My heart, my entire being longed for him. Next morning, I laid aside my man's clothing. I donned bracelets, anklets, waist chain, and beautiful sari, and went to the forest looking for Arjuna. I found him in the forest temple of Shiva and expressed my love for him. Thunderbolt when he said, I have taken the vow of celibacy. I am not fit to be your husband. Breaking my bows and arrows in pieces, I invoked Madan, the god of love. I said, my hands are strong to bend the bow, but I have never learned Cupid's archery, the play of eyes. Now, teach me your lessons. Give me the power of the weak and the weapon of the unarmed hand. Make me superbly beautiful, even as beautiful as was the sudden blooming of love in my heart. Madan granted my prayer. What do I see? What magic has transformed me thus? Is this a dream of a previous birth? I am not the Princess Chitrangada. I am the unknown flower that blooms in the morning, withering away by night. In all my limbs, who plays a flute? my mind restless, in a happy yet sad mood. The lovely, unreal Chitrangada, and surrenders the merit of his year-long celibacy and penance at my feet. He says, "Everything seems to me a dream. You alone are perfect. You are the wealth of the world, the end of all poverty, the goal of all efforts, the one woman. To see you for a moment is to see perfect completeness once and forever." I cry out, "Alas, it's not I, Arjuna. It is the deceit of a god. Go, go, my hero, go. Offer not your great heart to an illusion." But I cannot resist him for long. We are united. It comes across the villagers and hears about their princess, who they think has gone on a pilgrimage. Arjuna learns from them how Chitrangada protects the entire kingdom and that she is their father and mother in one. Arjuna is increasingly curious to meet the warrior princess and tells me of his desire. Barely managing to hide my happiness, I tell him, but she is not beautiful. She has no such lovely eyes as mine, dark as death. She can pierce any target she aims, but not my hero's heart. Arjuna is absent-minded. He says, I wish I could race on a swift horse by her side, like twin orbs of light, sweeping through space, out of this dank, dense cover of perfume, intoxication, choking breath. I am ecstatic. With a heart heavy with love and fulfillment, I ask my beloved, would it please your heroic soul if the playmate of the night aspired to be the helpmate of the day? For I am Chitrangada, the royal princess. By the boon of the god of love, Madan, I obtained for a year the most radiant form that a mortal ever wore, and buried my hero's heart with the burden of that deceit. Most surely, I am not that woman. I am no goddess to be worshipped, nor am I an object of common pity to be brushed aside with indifference. If you choose to keep me by your side in the path of danger and daring, if you allow me to share the great duties of your life, then you will know my true self. Here am I, Chitrangada, the daughter of a king. Ami Chitrangada, Ami Rajendra Nandini, Nahi Devi, Nahi Shamana Nari, Ami Chitrangada. Ami Chitrangada Rajendra
It was at the intellectual pilgrim that in July 1927 the poet travelled east from Madras on the French ship Amboise. India's learning had once spread outside India, Tagore wrote, but the people outside accepted it. We have embarked on this pilgrimage to see the signs of the history of India's entry into the university. The Amboise arrived in Singapore on 20th July 1927. Tagore's moment in the Malay Peninsula gave him a chance to have a conversation with the Chinese literati. The Chinese had named the Indian poet Chu Chen Tan, Thunder and Sunlight of India, based on the following equations: Robi equals Tan equals morning sun, Indra equals Chen equals thunder, India equals Tian Shu equals heavenly kingdom. Lim Boon Keng had recently completed an English translation of the Li Xiao, an elegy on encountering sorrows, by the 4th century BC Chinese poet Chu Yuan. Tagore was much enchanted by the life, work and death of Chu, who had in the end drowned himself in the Milo River in Yunnan. Once Lim sent him a copy of his manuscript, Tagore wrote a foreword for the book in Penang. As he journeyed from Singapore across the Straits of Malacca towards Batavia, Tagore wrote his poem Srivijaya Lokhi, celebrating the renewal of a bond after a 1,000-year separation. The Srivijaya Empire had granted patronage to the Buddhist university at Nalanda and enjoyed friendly ties with the Pala kingdom of Bengal. After visiting Java and Bali, Rabindranath wrote one of his most beautiful poems, Bali, which was later renamed more generically Sagarika, Sea Maiden, of which the opening verse read, Sagara jale sinan kori sajalo elo chule boshiya chile upalo upakule shithilo pito bash matir pore kuchilo rekha luchilo charipash niraboron bokkhe tabo niraboron dehe chikono shona likhono usha akia dilo snehe mokoro chura mukut khani pori lalat pore dhanuk ban dhori dakshin pore daranu raj beshi kohinu ami eshechi paradeshi. Having bathed in the sea with your wet tresses, you sat on the rocky beach. Your loose yellow robe drew a forbidding line around you on the earth. On your uncovered breasts and unadorned body, the morning sun painted a gentle golden hue. With a Makara-crested crown on my forehead, bow and arrow in hand, I appeared royally adorned and said, I have come from another land. The islands known as the Dutch East Indies could be more appropriately named, according to Tagore, as Vyasa Indies. One evening, the theme of the dance would be the fight between the Indrajit, the educated demon prince of Lanka, and Hanuman, the monkey. On another, the Sultan's brother would himself play the role of Ghatotkacha, a Mahabharata character who had undergone considerable creative transformation in the Javanese variant of the epic. The veranda of the Raja's home was decorated with beautiful silk scrolls on which events of the Ramayana were painted. In Yogyakarta, Tagore was a guest of the Paku Alam. The Sultan's daughter danced, and the entire family got together to perform the story of the killing of the great bird Jatayu in the Ramayana. Tagore lamented the lack of more comparative studies of the epic. One day, some German scholar will do this work, he wrote. After that, by protesting against or substantiating that thesis, we will earn PhDs in the university. On the ship Maya, traveling from Java to Singapore, Tagore wrote what was to become one of his most popular songs. Shakoruno Benu Bajaye Ke Jaye Videshi Nahe Tahari Ragini Lakilokai. Who goes playing that plaintive flute on a foreign boat? I can feel the touch of that melody. Tagore pursued the Buddhist connection in Siam on the way back. His poem Siam, composed on 11th October 1927, gave poetic expression to Tagore's search for a greater India. Aji ami tare dekhi loho, bharater je mohima tag kori ashiache apono angon shima, orgho dibo tare bharat bahire tobo tare. Today I will bear witness to India's glory that transcended its own boundaries. I will pay it homage outside India at your door. Two very well-known songs, Shedin Nujane and Bodhuli Gogone Mekhe, were composed by him in Southeast Asia at this time. They are about memory, loss, and rediscovery.
Guru
universalist sentiment was perhaps best expressed in a poem painting signed Baghdad, May 24, 1932, at the end of a visit to Iran and Iraq. It can be read and heard today as an exhortation to people across the globe to weave together communities and fragments into larger and more generous patterns of human history. অবসান হলো রাতি নিবাইয়া ফেলো কালিমা মলিন ঘরের কোণের বাতি নিখিলের আলো পূর্ব আকাশে জ্বলিল পুণ্য দিনে একসাথে যারা চলিবে তাহারা সকলের চিনে The night has ended. Put out the light of the lamp of thine own narrow corner smudged with smoke. The great morning which is for all appears in the east. Let its light reveal us to each other who walk on the same path of pilgrimage. We will close today, however, by taking you back with Tagore to Penang in 1927. And before I close, I wish to give a few thanks. First of all, to Megan Rajvanshi of the South Asia Initiative, somewhere in the audience, there she is, for making all the arrangements for this evening. Thank you, Megan. For coming and encouraging us, especially Associate Provost Laurie Gross, who is Associate Provost for the Arts, and Diana Sorensen, Dean for the Humanities. And once more, let me recognize Susmita Biswas as Chitrangada. Dipamkar Deshmukh playing the Esraj. Sri.Siddhartha Bhattacharya on the tabla. And of course, the incomparable Pramita Mallick, who has come all the way. Many of you may know this song, and we wish we even joined Pramita Mallick in singing it. In 1927, Tagore composed this rousing song as he witnessed another tropical storm gathering on the horizon.
তুমি তো
very much.